So you're getting your boat all set up to go cruising. And you get a new VHF radio because you like things like DSC and having an AIS screen on there to be able to see what's coming in. And you get the radio open and you open it up and you get pretty far, and then it talks about here's how you program in your MMSI number. And you stop totally in your tracks because what the heck is an MMSI number and how do you get it anyway? Hi, I'm Nika Waters and welcome to the Boat Galley podcast. Today I'm talking about an MMSI number, what it is, and the couple of different places where you can go and get it. Today's episode of the Boat Galley podcast is sponsored by Prism Polish, the ultimate all-in-one metal polish. It cleans, polishes, and protects all in one easy step. Safe for all metals, it is 100% non-toxic and environmentally friendly. Save 10% on your first order at prismpolish.com using the promo code GALLEY at checkout. That's GALLEY at checkout. Don't wait any longer. Order Prism Polish today and make all of your stubborn metal shine like new. Well, I'm pretty happy that my VHF radio does not require polishing because polishing, even with Prism Polish, is not something I want to do all the time. But I do want to use my radio all the time. And when we got the new one and we needed to program an MMSI into it, that sent us down the rabbit hole of what is an MMSI and how do we get it anyway. Pretty simply, an MMSI is a Maritime Mobile Services Identity Number. And that's a fancy way of saying that it is a 9-digit number, and the first 3 digits of that 9-digit number identifies the country that you're coming from. But it is a unique identifier that is tied to your boat. And it is registered either with a domestic group or it's registered with the Federal Communications Commission, which actually has ties to international search and rescue operations. You've got 2 different ways of obtaining an MMSI, and they are all about how you plan on using your boat. If your plan is only to sail in domestic waters, you're never going to communicate with foreign vessels. You're not going to Canada. You're not going to Mexico. You're not going to the Bahamas or the Caribbean. If you're just going to sail in domestic waters, you can get your MMSI number very easily and cheaply through sites like Boat US and the US Power Squadron. And the MMSI number that you get is good within the United States. The database of those numbers does not get uploaded to international search and rescue. It's just within the US. You can go to either Boat US or the US Power Squadron, check out MMSI, and it's a very simple, fast process to get it. I think the Boat US site is you can either not be a member and pay $25 to get your MMSI number, and then you are given a free membership to Boat US for the year, or you can become a Boat US number and you get an MMSI number for free as part of your membership. You still have to fill out the information that goes in there. And that will link it directly to your boat. So you'll be putting in information like your boat's documentation number or registration number, your own information, but it is tied to the vessel. Once you've got an MMSI number, you can use it with other communication devices on your same boat. You can program that same MMSI number in there. If you've got cruising plans that will carry you further afield, you are required to go the more complicated FCC ship's radio station license route to be able to get your MMSI. The ship's radio station license is definitely a more convoluted, certainly a more expensive way to get your MMSI. However, if you are going to be doing any cruising outside of the United States, you have to do it. The Boat US site, when you go there to register for an MMSI, it's very clear there that if you are planning to cruise outside of the United States, you cannot get your MMSI through Boat US. If you have a radio that that has been used for domestic and has an MMSI that is only for within the United States, if you need to change or reprogramming your radio, or if you've bought a secondhand radio and you need to change that, you may have to send the radio off back to the manufacturer for reprogramming of the MMSI number. So think about really how you're going to use it rather than just do a stopgap. Ooh, I'm going to get a really fast MMSI from Boat US because I can get it in about 5 minutes. It's a little bit more work to get it through the FCC, but required if you're going to be doing stuff outside of the States. Stay tuned for a future podcast where I give you some details on applying for a ship's radio license, which will enable you to get an international MMSI. An MMSI, it's like an identity number for your boat. You got 2 different ways of getting that MMSI that you then program in to your devices, communication devices on board. And it really comes down to, are you only going to be ever cruising in the States, or do you have plans, thoughts, or are you actively planning on going outside? I can't wait to share an anchorage with you when we've both got our MMSIs, and maybe that's how we found each other, because we identified each other from AIS that is linked to that MMSI, and we get to toast to our incredible good fortune at being able to share this wonderful, wonderful lifestyle together. Thank you so much for listening to the Boat Galley podcast. At the Boat Galley, we are all about making boat life better. And hopefully this information about what an MMSI is and the 2 things you have to think about in terms of where you're going to wind up going to get that number, how to figure that out. We love it when we hear from our listeners. Did you know that we're going to be at the Annapolis Boat Show in October? Come by the booth and see us. Come take a class with me or with Carolyn or with John Herlig, who is another member of the Boat Galley team. And we love it when you share us with your friends, because when more people hear about the Boat Galley podcast, you've got access to that cool information, and hopefully it makes your boat life better and your cruising life maybe a little bit more enjoyable. Have the most spectacular week.